Hey, I'm Hunt, and this is Hunt on LSU, your channel for LSU Fighting Tiger football talk. Enjoy the video. We want you to leave a comment below, hit that like button, and subscribe right below the video. Enjoy. Time each week, we talk to Glen West, senior writer at Go 24/7, talking Tigers. He joins us now on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Glenn, how we doing?
Doing great, Hunt. I don't know that I've had more fun watching an NFL game that wasn't Saints related than last night. I don't know about you, but that was really fun to watch.
It was awesome. LSU was on full display, and those two guys. I don't know if they could have played a whole heck of a lot better. It was incredible to watch. You surprised at how well Jayden played?
I gotta say, I was a little bit. I mean, I have him on one of my fantasy teams, and I've been following him pretty closely. But man, he really, I think, took it up another gear and kind of put the NFL on watch. That yeah, I don't have to wait, a couple years for me to hit my stride. I might already be here and be ready. So yeah, very impressed by him and those two throws that he made to Terry McLaurin were two of the better throws I think I've ever seen him make, and to do that in week three of his NFL career, really, really impressive stuff.
The Bengals in trouble?
Yeah, I mean, they can't keep digging themselves in these holes. I mean, it's gonna be hard for them to climb out of, but you still got the Burrow and Chase connection, and we'll see kind of what happens there. But yeah, it's been a tough start for those guys for sure.
Harold Perkins goes down. How big a deal is that for LSU?
Yeah, I think it's massive. I mean, I don't think that I think you and I would agree. I think most people who've watched would agree that we haven't seen the best of Harold Perkins yet this year. I think he was showing some strides there in that South Carolina game, that he was on the cusp of some really spectacular play. But I mean, he's just such a phenomenal athlete and really a once in a generation type of talent, that it's going to be hard to replace him. I mean, Brian Kelly said it yesterday. Like there were, offenses had to scheme against him because they knew that they were going to have to, because of what he can do. He can cover receivers, he can cover tight ends, he can do pretty so many different things on the field, and you don't you only have so many of those in college, let alone on one roster. So I think the point he made was, we don't have any more of those guys left, so we're going to have to cobble this thing together as best as we can. And I think that LSU is going to be in a position here where they probably have to move Major Burns down to the star, and I think you'll see a lot more of those Whit Weeks, Greg Penn inside linebacker duos. I think Wes Weeks will get a lot of opportunity going forward, but I mean, to lose Perkins a month into the season, I think if you had gone into the year and kind of made a list of guys that LSU couldn't afford to lose on that side of the ball, you probably wouldn't have gotten very far without writing Harold Perkins' name and Jacobian Guillory's name down. And here we are, week four, and both of them are lost for the season.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I mean, we didn't know Swinson was going to play the way that he has
Right.
back in August, so I got to imagine that probably those two guys are among the top three. I,
Yeah,
I mean,
I would say
I
I
think
would say
probably in the
they're up
top
there.
three.
Yeah, I would say those two, and yeah, maybe Savion would be number three on that list. I mean, I don't know who else would be there. Maybe one of the defensive backs, but yeah, it's a really, really tough spot to be in defensively. But with that being said, I do think LSU's defense has shown you that they can be a disruptive defense, even with Harold Perkins not being the one that's in there making all of those plays. I think they've had guys like Swinson, like Savion Jones, step up and make some big plays. Dominic McKinley got his first action this past weekend and picked up one of the five sacks that LSU had. So I think there's some playmakers still left on this defense, and Blake Baker's scheme will, allow a lot of those guys to have those opportunities. But certainly, you'd like to have your big bullets available to you, and I don't think they get much bigger than what Perkins could have offered you come SEC play.
You think they're getting better on defense?
I do. Look, I think the explosive plays are the one thing that you can nitpick, and obviously I will not have any retaliation to that. If you want to say that LSU's defense is still bad because of the explosive plays, okay. But I tend to think that they've been a lot better in coverage. I think they've been a little bit closer to the ball in those situations. They haven't allowed a ton of those explosive plays downfield via the passing game. They've given up some of the big ones on the run. I think those are what I'm going to lean on Kelly there and say I think those are correctable mistakes. And if they can even just cut some of these explosive plays in half, I think we're having a very different conversation about this defense right now because they are making plays and they are getting off the field relatively, at a better pace than they were this time a year ago, when it just seemed like they couldn't get off the field at all. So I do think that they've made some strides this year. Are you where you want to be long term? Absolutely not. But I think that this coaching staff is especially on the defensive line, and I think that's where I've been most impressed is with Kevin Peoples and Bo Davis, what those guys have done up front. I think that that should be a very encouraging sign for LSU fans going forward that that group is seemingly playing pretty well and doing a nice job of getting into the backfield and holding their own against some of the competition they've played so far.
I know that Brian Kelly will joke with the assembled media a little bit here and there. It didn't seem like he was joking in the postgame on Saturday. What did you make of his demeanor in the
Yeah,
postgame? I thought it was odd.
it was one of the more bizarre ones I've been in there for because the one question about Mason Taylor in particular threw me through a loop
Yeah.
because he didn't want to talk about it, and I'm like, well, this I couldn't tell if he was joking completely or if he was being serious, and I think it maybe was a little bit of both, but um,
I mean, I think we
I
all
don't
talked
know.
about Mason Taylor. I certainly talked about Mason Taylor. I'm assuming you probably
Yeah,
wrote about
I
Mason
thought he
Taylor.
was due for a bounce back year, and we mentioned that he was somebody that was just kind of lost in the shuffle last year behind Malik and Brian, and that they needed him to step up, and that we all thought he would. So I don't know. I guess you take some of those things he says with a grain of salt, but I think look, Mason Taylor's been fantastic for him this year. And I really don't know what to make of his press conference to be
It
told
was
the
one of those.
truth be
Usually,
told.
when he does that, he kind of deadpans and then he'll say, "Oh, that's a joke," but then he didn't do it this
Yeah,
time. He just kind of kept going. It was odd to
yeah.
watch. As far as the passing game goes, he talked about it yesterday, and there's a diversity in the passing game that's growing as Chris Hilton expected to come back and Kyle Parker came back, and maybe you can get those young tight ends involved as well. I mean, how much better can this LSU passing game get?
Yeah, it's funny you asked me about that. I just wrote a piece about that that's coming up here shortly. And look, they spread the ball around a lot. They've got obviously 9 different receivers caught a pass on Saturday. 8 of the 13 touchdowns that Nussmeier has thrown have gone to different receivers. I mean, Kyron Lacy leads the way with 5, but nobody else has more than 2, and a lot of them have 1. So like he's dispersing this thing around. And I do think that there's another gear that this thing can get to, especially when you factor Hilton back in. I think there's still some untapped potential that we've seen from CJ Daniels and from Xavier Thomas. I think there's just so many ways that LSU can get creative with that, passing game. And look, I mean, I think there's some truth to what Kelly has said. If teams are going to continue to stack the box against LSU and go 7 or 8 guys in the box, and take away the run, I think LSU will take those one-on-one matchups and they'll continue to hit on them. And so, yeah, I think that this is, this if this is just a good start for LSU's offense, I'd love to see what this group can be as a great passing offense. And I think there's still some untapped potential there that we could see starting to take shape here over the next couple weeks.
You can take this one either way you want to, but is there anything to worry about on Saturday with South Alabama, and or is there something you're looking at them working on Saturday against South Alabama?
Yeah, I think you have to look at the offense, or I'm sorry, at the South Alabama offense and LSU's defense. I mean, this is you can only play who you play, and South Alabama has done a really nice job offensively. These first 3 or 4 games that they've played in, Major Applewhite obviously is a head coach that has a lot of experience at some big Power Four programs, whether it's Texas or Alabama or I think that there's a couple more in there that I'm just kind of forgetting off the top of my head, but those are the big two. So that he's going to have that team ready to play, against the LSU because he's seen these kinds of teams before. So I'm going to be very interested to see kind of how they handle this offense. This is a pretty explosive offense from what I've seen. The running back Bothwell is really really good. The quarterback is a redshirt freshman who has done some good things in here early on. Still got to do a little bit more research on him, but just off of some of the initial numbers I've read, some of the initial game tape I've watched, they've done a really nice job of moving the ball pretty efficiently and hitting some explosive plays. And obviously, that's an area where LSU's defense you'd like to see them kind of cut back on. So if this defense can kind of hold that offense in check and continue to move the ball well offensively and maybe get off to a faster start, I think that would be another thing that all of us would love to see before the heart of SEC play gets going here. Then I think LSU can be in a really good spot heading into their bye week where they can get healthy and get prepared for that Ole Miss game.
All your football team coverage, your recruiting, maybe a little hoops tomorrow. Glen West got you covered over there at Geaux 24/7. It's with us every single Tuesday. I'll see you this evening, Glenn. Thanks, man.
All right. Thanks, Hunt.
Hey, thanks for watching Hunt on LSU. Before you get out of here, do us a couple of favors. Hit that like button, leave your comments below, and subscribe to the channel for all your Fighting Tiger football talk. See you next time.